With Bernie Madoff, who now holds the sick distinction of being second only to Nazi Germany when it comes to how much money he stole. $150 billion were stolen by the Nazis during the Holocaust, as much as $65 billion by Bernie Madoff. He's in jail tonight. Chances are he'll die there. In a moment, his plea and all the questions it left unanswered. First, though, the raw outrage from victims who came to Manhattan just to see this day.
I was retired. I'd moved to Florida. I was starting over, and now I've had to move back to New York, move in with a parent at 52 years old.
Bernard Madoff is like some little maggot that crawled out under a rock and managed to have a brain enough to do something that injured a number of people. I can't waste time on him.
You know, he's going to be sentenced for 150 years. I hope he lives a very long life.
People lost everything. Bernie Madoff also wiped out charities and foundations and university endowments. You can certainly understand the rage. Tonight, we'll try to understand the crime, the punishment. We begin with Joe Johns.
What may very well be the final steps of freedom for perhaps the most despised man in America. Bernie Madoff entered a federal court in Manhattan today and pleaded guilty to the greatest investor fraud in U.S. history. The 70-year-old former NASDAQ chairman confessed to stealing $64.8 billion from at least 4,800 investors around the world. I operated a Ponzi scheme, he said. I'm here today to accept responsibility for my crimes. I realized that my arrest and this day would inevitably come. Before pleading guilty to the 11 charges against him, Madoff detailed a decades-long swindle. Celebrities, universities, charities, and ordinary people trusted him with their money. In return, this is what he now admits he did. I never invested these funds in the securities as I had promised, Madoff said. Instead, those funds were deposited in a bank account at Chase Manhattan Bank. When clients wished to receive the profits they believed they had earned, I used the money in the Chase Manhattan Bank account that belonged to them or other clients to pay the requested funds. He admitted to lying to clients and to the SEC, which, despite several investigations, found no evidence of wrongdoing. Madoff also defended his trading firm run by his brother and sons, calling the company legitimate, profitable, and successful. As for all the lives he destroyed, I am painfully aware that I have deeply hurt many, many people, Madoff offered. I cannot adequately express how sorry I am for what I've done. After the plea, bail was revoked. He was handcuffed and through an underground passage escorted to his new home, a jail. It overlooks the court and sits just blocks from where he built his house of cards. Madoff will be confined to a small cinder block cell like this one. He'll be sentenced in June and faces up to 150 years in prison, which will satisfy some victims.
I think he should rot in hell. He's evil. He's evil. He's way up there with all the evil people in the world.
Joe Johns, CNN, Washington.
Well, whatever satisfaction people got from seeing him frog march off to jail tonight, they don't have the money that Bernie Madoff stole. Some no longer have loved ones who lost everything and then took their own lives. At the end of the day, investigators do not yet have answers to a lot of questions, including how this guy did it, where the money is, and who else helped him carry out the crime of the century. More on that now from Randy Kay.
The Madoff mea culpa, a guilty plea from the world's biggest swindler. But does that really mean case closed? Hardly. Just unanswered questions. Where is the money? Attorney Ross Intellisano has 25 clients who he says lost $100 million with Madoff.
Will investors get any of their money back?
The investors who directly invested with Madoff have what's called SIPC claims, which can pay them back up to a $500,000 per account. The people who got to Madoff through third-party advisors or feeder funds do not have SIPC claims.
What about investors who made money? Will they have to give it back? Those so-called profits were actually other investors' money.
What the trustee has indicated is that he will probably go after people for their false profits,
leaving one investor outside court bewildered.
Madoff investors paid in hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in income taxes on phantom income that never existed.
Will investors get back those taxes paid?
They may have been barred from now seeking a refund of those taxes because it's outside the 3-year window.
The 3-year window for claiming refunds. What about that Chase Manhattan bank account Madoff says he used to pay investors?
If this Chase account was the account in which the fraud took place, they're going to follow that money.
Is it possible that Bernard Madoff acted alone here?
No, it's impossible. Bernie's 70 years old. He wasn't in his office just pumping out statements by himself. He clearly had an army of employees who were creating fake monthly statements, fake confirmations on trades.
The question is, who are those people and where are those people? Court papers say Madoff hired employees with little or no experience to generate fraudulent documents, including client account statements and trade confirmations. And what about Madoff's family? Were they involved? His sons were both executives for the firm, but say they knew nothing about the fraud. So much we still don't know, except how those swindled by Madoff feel about him now.
He's a sick man.
Randy Kay, CNN, New York.
Randy covered just some of the questions with few or no answers tonight. There's also this. Where were the regulators? Where were they? The people who were supposed to be looking out for all of us. In 1999, analyst Harry Markopoulos wrote to the SEC calling Madoff Securities the world's largest